Howdy everyone, Poacher here with an Age of Magic video, and in today's video I'm going to do a more of a beginner's guide for people coming into the game on what teams are in this game, because I see a lot of comments on Facebook asking what is the Bomb Squad, what is the Holy Trinity. I can understand how those names are confusing to new players, so I'm going to show you what the teams consist of, their names, and what they essentially do in the game. So that is what this video is going to be about. For more experienced players or even mid-range players, you probably know all these names already. So this video isn't really going to help you in any way. So save yourself some time and spend your day some other way. So we'll get into it. We'll go over the basic teams, more intermediate teams, and then the end game teams. So yeah. The first team I want to talk to you about is the Holy Trinity team. Now, the Holy Trinity team was probably the first official meta team in the game back in the day. It is still a very reliable team. It is mainly built from these three healers: Lucky, Azariel, Zart. Okay, these were the golden characters back in the day, and thus the Holy Trinity was born. I came up with a name. I'm going to claim that because I'm super proud of it. So yeah, this is your Holy Trinity team. When someone says build a Holy Trinity team, these are your three characters you need to aim on. Now, the last two spots for your team can normally be filled by mainly four characters. You've got Succubus, Rock, Cage, and Swamp Killer. Now, this team is still very good. You mainly use this team in Raid these days. This is where this team really shines. It's a great beginner team for Raid. You want these three characters, Swamp Killer and Succubus. Those three characters will do very well for you in Raid of all levels. Of course, it depends on the level of the characters themselves, but if you get them up to a good standard, they will clear Raid. The reason why this team was so good and is still so good is because it's a survivability team. You've got your Resurrects, you've got your Invulnerability. The aim of this team is just to keep you alive. And in something like Raid, that's what you want. You want to be able to keep your characters alive and push as far as you can without dying and wasting heal kits. So you've got Zart, who can res two characters. He's normally used as a safeguard. If you're losing a battle and you know you can't win, normally people can resurrect with Zart and then leave the battle, because characters resurrected by Zart will die again after 2 turns. You've got Lucky, who has great defensive abilities and great healing and can resurrect, and you've got Azariel, who stops people from dying. So it's just a really safe team, a really easy and fun beginner team, and will do well for you in almost all content within the game. The next team I want to talk about is the Rogue Squad, and its name tells you exactly what it is. It's a team built of rogues. Now, the way this team is constructed is normally it's led by Siegfried. Leader doesn't matter. I'm just saying led by Siegfried. Siegfried is there to take all the damage while your rogues do all the damage. Okay, they normally have enough speed and damage output that they can take out a character or two before Siegfried's taunt wears out. Normally, this is used against the Holy Trinity team, and is a powerful arena team as well. You wouldn't really use it in Raid. You could. Its survivability is low though. Its main goal is to take out damage. The last spot on the team is normally reserved for a healer, normally Lucky or Azariel, or sometimes people like to go full damage and put in another damage character, normally a Succubus or a Rock or something. The reason people normally put a Succubus in, however, is because any rogue in that spot is going to help Cage trigger his passive and output more damage. This team is primarily a damage and execution team. It just wants to get rid of characters on the enemy team, and you gain your advantage through that. Siegfried is a wall. Not much can get past him. If you want to try counter it, you can play a character that removes taunt. Only one I can think of is Balara, and what's his name? Ilios can. Well, Ilios doesn't get rid of taunt. He just allows you to attack people through a taunt. And Blood Emperor, I think, can do it. But two of those characters are quite endgame. So that is your Rogue Squad. High damage output, normally is built to deal with healers, and is a good arena offense team. Can be beaten easily if you have the right characters. So you could say that for most teams, though. So that is the Rogue Squad. In third, we have the Bomb Squad. The Bomb Squad is a team that just detonates the enemy. Your main characters for this team are Siegfried, Soothsayer, and Blood Priest. Siegfried playing the exact same role he plays in the Rogue Squad. He's just there to take all the hits so the enemy doesn't silence or kill a major character in this setup. You have Soothsayer and Blood Priest. Now, the reason these two characters work together and why it's called the Bomb Squad is because Soothsayer has an ability called Anger of Flies, something like that, where she does an AoE attack, and the attack does more damage depending on the buffs and debuffs on the enemy. I'm pretty sure it's buffs and debuffs. It might just be one. Either way, the more little boxes they have above their head, the better for you. She does damage depending on that. It's a lot of damage as well. It's significant. As well as putting damage on the enemies, she also applies the healer mark to the enemies. And that's where the second part of the bomb comes in, because normally Blood Priest will come after Soothsayer in the turn order. Blood Priest also has an AoE ability which absorbs health from everyone on the field, allies and enemies. But the reason why it's good that it absorbs from enemies is because the ability also triggers the healer mark that Soothsayer leaves after detonating the enemy. By triggering the mark, the damage Blood Priest does is doubled. So that's why this team is so devastating, because it can just output so much damage within 2 to 3 turns of the battle starting. There are some strategies where you have to, people will use a Blood Mage, sorry, and they delay the bomb by a whole round, which increases the damage because they're able to apply more buffs and debuffs. Your final 2 heroes you want for this team, you can have several heroes. The normal setup is a Blood Mage and an Azariel. Azariel is really good because she starts off the battle by putting a debuff on the enemies, which I'm pretty sure if she strikes them, she absorbs X amount of HP, or if they heal, it's just to do with healing. It doesn't really matter. It only matters because she puts a debuff which increases the damage Soothsayer does. And then they have Rock, which Blood Mage, sorry, because he applies a lot of debuffs. He applies anti-healing as well. He's really good for the setup because if you don't kill the enemy, he can normally secure your win because he prevents them from healing anyway. And he applies a lot of debuffs as well, which is really good, but he's slower than Soothsayer and Priest, so you can't really get the effect of his debuffs in this squad unless you delay the round. So other notable characters are Rock, because he can freeze the enemy, makes your team a bit safer, and the freeze counts as a debuff on the enemy, which again increases the damage Soothsayer does. There are some squads out there that use Mirrodin as well. Mirrodin is a good character to use because he can apply a bleed, which acts as a debuff, increases the damage of Soothsayer. Essentially, you want to have characters that can either protect you or add debuffs. That's what makes this team really good. It is most effective against rogue squads because rogues do have a lot of buffs. That's why this team does work very well. However, it's RNG a bit because rogues have naturally high dodge, and if you miss the bomb, you're in a bit of strife. So, yeah, good team. Very powerful, can do a lot of damage. It's a fun team to use as well. So that's your bomb squad. Next, we have the Nuclear Squad. The Nuclear Squad is just a more potent version of the Bomb Squad. It's a much harder team to build because you need Blood Emperor, who is restricted through the Halloween raid, or whatever it's called, Doom raid. The way this team works is Blood Emperor is able to apply debuffs himself, which makes the bomb stronger. He increases speeds to the Arrakin Undead. That's why you have Priest and Blood Mage in this team. The last slot is normally followed by a Rock. Some people like to run another Arrakin Undead. It's up to you. The main team is built from a Rock because it's very deadly. It's just freezing, blowing up, and it is devastating, the amount of speed that comes out of this team. Even people, Arrakin Guard, I see sometimes in that last spot. It's just the exact same as the Bomb Squad. It just does far more damage and has a far more better success rate. So not much more to say about this. If you are building the Bomb Squad, in the end of the game, this is what you want to try and get to as a Blood Emperor to make the team far more efficient. Not much more to say. Bomb Squad, just better. Another highly mentioned team is the Golden Boys team. This is your main 3 characters for the team. You've got Ilios, Tyros, and Sakrith. Ilios, because of his leadership ability, does very well for the team. Sakrith because of her passive, and Tyros just because Tyros is a bastard. does a lot of damage, resets initiative. Ilios can heal with his leadership ability. It's a whole mess. The last 2 slots, however, are this is probably one of the teams in the game that can be built in many different ways. I've seen a lot of different versions. There's actually a whole different version of the team completely where you remove everyone but Ilios. Ilios is the main factor. There was the Golden Boys before Ilios came out, but since Ilios is out now, this is the staple for the team. Some people like to run... The most popular team setup I see is the Argon and Azariel setup. In fact, I would put Azariel in as a staple to the team as well. I don't see many people running the Golden Boys team without the Azariel. So it's really one spot you kind of mix and match with, which can be Argon, can be Steris, but the one I see a very popular version of is a Mage as well. That is the Golden Boys team. The 3 main golden characters, Ilios, Tyros, and Sakrif. And then your last 2 slots, again, Azariel, I would probably place in there just because she makes the team very powerful. And then the last spot can be filled with any of those 3. But like I said, there are probably other teams out there that people use as well that they find very much enjoyable and effective as well. But all these teams, it's the same with all these teams I've mentioned. You can mix and match. If you find something that works for you, then bloody hell, just use it. It's a game that, allows people to mess around and find things that work. That's how these teams are created most of the time, is people just messing around and finding things that work. So that is the Golden Boys. I know Sakrif isn't a boy, but I don't give a shit. It's the Golden Boys. Up next, we have the Ilios with the Druid Defenders of Arat setup. It's a very good team as well. It's a very powerful defense team. Good offense team. It's a very slow team, though. The damage output is quite low for this team. But you've got a lot of healing on it, and you've got Drevarad to taunt as well, which is quite good. Drevarad can also lower damage, I'm pretty sure. He can slow the enemy as well. You've got Made for Lockdown. She's quite fast. She does a lot of damage. She resets initiative. Ilios can do a bit of damage as well. It's just more of a defensive team than anything else. Some people try to use this team against the Golden Army team, which is coming up. It does work. It can work. It's not 100% guaranteed you're going to win, but it is one of the more safer teams out there because it has such a good defense build up for the team. It's not relying just on heals. The weakness to this team, however, is essentially you've only got 1 resurrect on the team. You've got Lucky. Cathbad does have a resurrect, however, he can only resurrect druids. And normally Drevarad and Mabe's not going to die first because apart from the fact she's untargetable, she's a rogue. The AI tends to go for healers over any other class in the game. Or it doesn't tend, it does go for healers over any other class in the game. The AI is most likely going to go for your Lucky first. And if Lucky dies, Cathbad can't resurrect her because she's not a druid. She's a children of the forest. She used to be a pygmy. She's going through a little bit of an identity crisis at the moment, but she's not resurrectable. Lucky can resurrect anyone on the team, but if your Lucky dies, the team will fall apart. So, yeah, this is probably one of the better defense teams out there in terms of not being ridiculously overpowered and stupid. So, yeah, good team, can do a lot, can take on almost all metas. I don't know how it does against the nuke squad. I think it gets decimated. You figure it out, though. You give it a go. But, yeah, so that is your Ilios/Druids. It doesn't actually have an official name. I can't come up with one on the spot, but we'll see what we can do. So you'll hear Golden Boys used a lot. Now, this is the Golden Army. This is when Artis is the leader with his leadership ability and does a ridiculous amount of things for the Golden Boys. Essentially, it becomes the Golden Army because it feels like you're fighting an army. The amount of the attacks they get off, the amount of initiative they get, the amount of initiative they can reduce, the shields, it's a lot. You're taking on a lot when fighting this team. Argon and Steris are normally forgotten when building this team. The last spot is mainly filled up with an Azariel. You can do whatever you want. It's a jigsaw piece, okay? Put whatever piece you want in there. Those are your 4 main characters. The other characters I have seen in there are very rarely a Tyros. I just keep saying Tyros. a Steris or an Argon, sometimes a Lucky. Majority of the time you will see an Azariel, though. Probably one of the strongest teams in the game at the moment. There aren't a lot that can beat it. It is beatable. It's not unbeatable, but there is not a lot that can beat it. Okay, the Ilios/Druid team can stand a chance against it. Not 100% successful. Dwarves can also beat it as well. So there you go. So it is this team. It doesn't have many weaknesses, and its strengths are off the chart. In terms of synergy, the most synergized team within the game. So that is the Golden Army for you. Next, we have the Abaddon team. Abaddon team can be built many different ways. He's a good character to use in the Doom raids. You've got to remove Tyros and Sacrif, however, and replace it with Azariel and Succubus. The team isn't used so much. You're not going to... I really doubt people are going to suggest this team to you. It's just one of the teams that has existed in the past. It was pretty strong for a brief period of time, and then the Golden Army came out, and it kind of just got forgotten about. But this is what the team would be built of. It is a powerful team, especially if you can get the Balthazar. Balthazar is probably the hardest character to get on the team. He can be replaced, however, with someone else. Up to you. Another demon, a Succubus, or a Lucky. The way the team works, however, is Abaddon's passive. The way Abaddon works is if Abaddon has lost any amount of health, when his turn comes around, he will put a taunt on an ally with the highest HP. This is forcing the enemy to attack characters they don't want to attack. You know, if you're trying to kill Sacrif, then you get it at half HP, and Abaddon's turn comes around. The Abaddon will put a taunt on Tyros because he's got the highest HP, and then you're forced to attack Tyros. All of a sudden, Zart and Sacrif are able to heal each other back up. Then you've lowered Tyros down to half HP. You got into a point where, hey, maybe I can kill him. Abaddon's turn comes back around. You're forced to attack Balthazar because he has the highest HP. He's a really annoying character. He forces you to attack characters you don't want to attack. You can't really aim characters. To get around this, you want to bring a team that has single target damage. That way you're not forcing Abaddon to lose any health. Zart is really good paired with Abaddon, however, because if you manage to get Sacrif down to half HP and Zart heals, when Zart heals, he puts a dot on all his allies, and then when Abaddon loses health because of the dot, his passive will trigger. So he's a really good character to pair with Abaddon. And also Zart is a demon, which helps Abaddon because Abaddon's abilities, their success chance in what they can do increases with the amount of demons and renegades on the team, which is Balthazar as well. What is also good about Abaddon is his passive is when a demon or a renegade uses a basic attack, which you do a lot with Balthazar. Balthazar uses basic attacks a lot. When an allied demon or renegade attacks with a basic attack, a melee damager will follow up with a basic attack, which is Tyros, which has a very strong basic attack. So a lot of damage output on this team. It's a very good team. Not really suggested out there, not really talked about. If you have the characters to build it, it's a good team to have. You can use it for certain things. Again, Doom Raid, if you remove Tyros and Sacrif and replace them with the Azariel and the Succubus, is quite good on offense. It used to be good on defense as well until, again, the Golden Army and Golden Boys came out. Quite easy to deal with these days, but still worth a mention. You also have the full Blood Emperor team, the Arakin Undead team. I'm going to call them the Blood Boys. We've got the Golden Boys, why not the Blood Boys? It's a good team. Good attack. Strong attacks. They have a lot of speed as well because of Blood Emperor as the leader. Arakin Guard, pretty decent tank. Taunt can heal himself. You got Arakin Shadow, which can lower accuracy of enemies, negate healing as well. Possibility of landing on 2 targets, so it's a possibility. You can hit 1 target, has a chance of hitting a second target, so negating healing for 2 enemies, which is pretty decent. With the speed of this team, is very effective because you're getting a lot more attacks out. The last spot of the team can be filled with any other Arakin Undead, whatever you feel best suits the team. Blood Mage does fit very well in there. Honestly, I would just put Blood Mage in there. Arrogant Axe Thrower and Arrogant Spear, they do a lot of damage, but compared to what they offer to a team over Blood Mage, it's not really comparable. Blood Mage increases damage. I'm pretty sure he increases initiative as well. It is a decent team, and as someone, let me just double check really quick. Yeah, as Goro mentioned in my Alts clan, it could possibly be a very good team to use when versing Doom raids because it's an all dark side. What do they call them? Dark side, light side. It's a dark side team, so you can only use dark heroes in the Doom raid. So it would be very effective. And Blood Emperor does have a level of healing as well. And yeah, just overall quite a powerful team. The last team I do want to mention for the main player at this point of the game, it's not a team that's ever going to be mentioned to you because Chorin is just so hard to get. The average player, even the moderate player, it's going to be a long time before you can build this team. But I'm going to mention it because I'm talking about teams. You've got the Dwarf Team. It's a very, very powerful team just because of Chorin. Chorin makes this whole team just because of his leadership ability. Does a ridiculous amount of things for dwarves. A very, very powerful team. It's just strong. It's very strong against teams with Sacrif in it because of Sacrif's passive. The way this team works is if an enemy dodges, the dwarves heal for an X amount of HP, and Sacrif's passive is every time someone is critically hit, they gain a dodge passive, a chance, not a chance to dodge. They will dodge the next attack, which heals these boys up. Some people like to mess around with this team. They like to take Valandar out and put Monkey King in. You can do it. It works well with Angrim because of the mark system in there. You can force the enemy to dodge a turn. I'm not going to talk too much about this team because honestly, the only players it matters to are players that know the teams already. They know what's happening in the game, or they're just stupid and they've spent a lot of money and don't really understand the game. They just think money is the way to win. So I'm not ashamed to say it. There are players out there that are like that. There are some players out there that spend a lot of money and understand the game to a very high degree, probably even better than me when it comes to fighting other teams. But there are just some people out there that just spend money because why not? Money is irrelevant to them. So yeah, this team is not impossible to beat. I would class it the strongest team in the game though. But yeah, that is the Dwarf Team. Its synergy is just strong because of Chorin. Unlike the Golden Army, which has synergy between all characters, or pretty much, this team relies heavily on Chorin. Without Chorin, the team doesn't really work. There are very few teams they can work against because of the Hargrim Trodar. One of the combos, I think it's Trodar and Hargrim. It's not even that. It's Valandar and Trodar. Got it. Their team can work very rarely on some other meta teams, but yeah, that's the Dwarf Team for you. I'm sure I've missed something out there. I normally do. That's just how I operate. I will miss something. But those are the majority of the teams in the game at the moment. With Elves coming out, there might be a few more. I know I did build a counter-attack team. I'm not putting that in the video because it was just a fun team I built. I can't see anyone using it seriously. But hopefully this helps you understand to a degree what teams are out there, what they do, why they're strong, and why people use them. I tried to explain as much as I could. And I'm sure there are teams out there I didn't mention at all. But I think I covered the majority of the important ones, even through some in there that aren't important, but they're nice to know about. Anyway, ladies and gents, thank you so much for watching. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I'll answer it to the best of my ability. And I would like to mention thank you very much to everyone out there that has messaged me about the Australian bushfires. It means a lot. I am very fortunate. I live in an area that is not affected. There were some that were kind of close, but again, I'm in a very safe spot. Our country is in a pretty shit state at the moment. However, a lot of animals, I care more about the animals than I do about the people, I'm not going to lie. A lot of animals are affected as well. There's been a lot of damage. But thank you very much for reaching out. It does mean a lot. And, yeah, all I can say is thank you. I am safe, though, and yeah. So, yeah, wherever you are in the world, however, please take care of yourselves. Until next time. So, yeah. All right, see ya.